It's like everything in Beam that you want.
Yeah.
But it's distinctly Beam. What was that? What are you doing?
What are you talking about?
What was that noise? Gosh dang it. Hello, and welcome everyone to episode 191 of the Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Jason, Kenny, and Anthony.
Dang, I made the host already.
I just replaced it just because you've been here with us so much here recently.
It's the first time I've seen you all.
Yeah,
good to meet you.
No, oh yeah, hey, nice to meet you, man. I have never seen you before in person. You're so handsome.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes. Everybody tells me that.
We're still having.
I got a face for podcasting, is what I've been told, or radio.
We've heard the same thing on our end. I mean, my goodness. But yeah, no, we're still having some scheduling difficulties getting together with Steven, but we miss him, and we just wanted to give him a quick shout. Say, yeah, we're holding strong. We're holding forward strong for you.
Shout out, Steven. I got it for you this
He'll be
time,
back
buddy.
very soon.
There you go.
Very, very soon.
Very good. Very good. So, gentlemen, what you been up to?
Not much, man. Drinking a little bourbon. How about you?
I've been drinking bourbon. I've been actually.
You know what? I lied. I'm gonna cut you off.
What happened?
I got a little story.
Okay,
So
please.
we went on our Four Roses barrel pick. We went to Willett.
What?
And a lot of times you go to Willett. I've rarely been upstairs. Like, they're usually closed. They got weird hours.
Okay.
But I got the first egg salad sandwich from there that I've heard great things about.
Okay, so please, sir, indulge us here because I have always heard about the bar at Willett. I've told our listeners about it. Kenny has as well. I've never actually eaten there. I've been there many times, but I've never sat down and had the egg salad or anything in there. So go ahead, please.
So I would never order an egg salad sandwich anywhere I ever went in my life, but I had to get it there.
Okay.
And it was
awesome.
Fantastic.
Really?
Like some kind of cheese on top.
See,
like
I
Duke's
totally
mayo.
forgot to talk about that when we talked about the Four Roses pick on the previous
me
episode.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because I also got something else funny to say about that day. But
Yeah,
It
please.
It was really good. And then I got escargot, which is something I never thought I'd ever try.
You got that at Willett or you got
I
somewhere
did
else?
at Willett.
Holy cow.
It was actually good. Like the snail itself was covered in cheese.
Okay.
It had bacon underneath it.
Oh, man.
A little orzo that was colored greens for some reason. Like, I guess a snail was outside.
I'm a Greek. You tell me orzo. I'm speaking my language
right.
now. There you go.
But it was kind of like textured like a meaty mushroom cap.
Really?
Yep. That's what I would say.
Well, I love mushroom caps, so I could
Yeah.
see myself. Do you know where the origin of the snails were?
Yeah, sure. They were originated somewhere.
Rickhouse
in the-
C.
Yeah.
They were just in some mod in Rickhouse C, living the life. They weren't Kentucky Rivers.
Tyrone. I think it's Tyrone. They were
They had whiskey mold on them and everything, dude.
Dude, I just wonder, like, whenever anybody tells me about seafood in Lexington, I'm always like, well, we're landlocked, so they got to be getting it from Town Branch. They got to be getting it from one of the, where's the seafood coming from? But no, snails are freshwater, right? So they can be anywhere. Yeah.
I mean, I would assume. I don't know. I don't know where they go.
I think
I didn't ask.
So anyway, escargot and egg salad.
Yeah, what a combo.
Wow, that's
It
great.
was good. I mean, I shared my escargot.
Okay.
I think with just Mosik, I don't think anybody else would try.
Mosik wouldn't.
He tried it.
Mosik dove in there.
I've had him once. I had him on a cruise ship, and it was okay. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I had it once, and that was good for me.
Same here.
Yeah.
What was your story? What were you going to tell us?
Well,
please.
Before I tell the story, I had the wings there. Jordan ordered the wings. I'm not just saying this, probably the best wing I've had. It was cooked perfectly. It had like a Grippo's barbecue chip kind of flavor to it a little bit.
Wow.
But it was cooked absolutely perfectly.
It was like smoked and
It was a
deep
little bit,
fried.
but it was a little bit smoked. So like, went to KS Bar like 6 months ago to try some wings. They're way too heavily smoked. These were like perfect. So
I give a little shout out to Country Boy Steve over there. Does some good things, man.
Yeah.
He smokes those himself and then deep fries them. They'll bring them out.
Really?
Good, very
Wings.
good. Very
Okay.
good. Country Boy Kitchen. They're pretty good, especially the Georgetown location. I'm not in Lexington as much on that one, but I would recommend them.
Now I'm going to have to go there next time up visiting my parents in Georgetown. We're going to have to go check it out.
Tell them Jason sent you, and they'll probably charge you double, but tell them that.
I'm
gonna do that.
Yeah, my favorite wings here locally are actually Wing King.
Those are good.
I think those are my favorite.
Wing King's good, but it's funny you mentioned KS Bar because they're getting
Destroyed.
They get destroyed in the local food groups.
right now in the local scene and the food groups. It started on a Reddit, that it spilled over to Lexington Foodies, which even if you're a listener, you should request to be part of Lexington Foodies because it's the most savage group.
Oh, it's great.
In the history
It's drama
of the restaurant industry right here in Lexington, Kentucky. And I've read so many threads start to finish in there and never commented.
And if you're lucky enough, you will get to see Barrett or Marty comment in there because they're the best trolls, man.
Oh, Barrett and Marty.
Those people get going. They get really going in there.
Yeah. God. What an amazing thing. So now I'm hungry, both of you. Kenny, but I have to tell you something really funny. And I can't imagine what your response is going to be. But today we were driving to Georgetown and I wish I would have known. Why? Were you there?
I need 2 bottles picked up from Georgetown.
Oh, man. Well, I'll let you know next time I'm going there. Okay. Yeah, here we go. So we passed a car on the highway, and I've never seen anything like this. It had, in writing, you know how people decorate their windows when they're, getting married and stuff? Mm-hmm. It said, nicotine is not addictive. And then it said, FDA is lying all over this car. And we passed it. And you want to know what my wife said?
What?
She goes, I'm not kidding here. She goes, I bet you Kenny would be in a car like that with some message as a joke. And I'm like, why did you think of that?
Monty.
I'm like, why did you think of that? She's like, I don't know. He just seems like he's opinionated.
So the FDA is trash. The FDA is garbage.
See, here he goes.
It's complete garbage.
Oh, my God. How my wife knows you so well.
It is, because it is. FDA is literally trash, dude.
Baited you into this one fully.
The heart people, the Heart Association, all those things.
Okay.
Log on and look at their heart healthy diet. Screw that. It's going to kill you.
So my wife was
right.
But
nicotine is addictive, though. No, only the second part.
Okay.
The first part, nicotine is addictive. But yeah, the FDA is trash.
Oh, my God. Well, I still am trying to figure out why she said that. And I was like, we need to hang out more, all of us together, so that maybe she gets to know you better than thinking that you'd be the person in the car driving down the highway.
She would just affirm her belief.
I told her, I was like, I'm going to
say it already validated her.
I said, if I remember this, I'm going to say it on the podcast. And she said, you should. And she was just laughing. And I'm like, okay, so there you go. Fantastic.
Right. Some other story, though.
Yeah, please.
So here in Lexington, around Reynolds Road, close to LCA, you have that roundabout, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Say if you're coming from Clay's Mill,
right.
So you're gonna, you're turning left,
right.
You're turning right, depending on where you're going. You're going right, you're going left.
You gotta be careful over there, though.
So just, it's a circle, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Now just imagine taking that circle a lot smaller. When we had left the Four Roses pit, we were going to a place.
I forgot about that.
I can't wait to hear this.
Me and Jordan in the back. What the heck's going on?
Masa going to take us to this place called Toogie's Table.
Okay.
It's a pretty well-known place for food in Bardstown.
Okay.
But evidently they're only open from 11:30 to 2.
Okay.
And then 5 to something. So they're open for lunch, closed for a while, then dinner. So we're driving straight, and it's busy. It's 4 o'clock rush hour traffic.
Yes.
So we're busy. We take a right into this parking lot, and it's the place looks like it's closed. And we go, and then he turns around, literally through their parking lot, back on the street, and then he starts to go because we're going to Willett. I'm like, no, you went the wrong way for Willett. He turns back in their parking lot. We made 2 big circles around there. The people up and down lining the street, they were looking at us like, what are these guys doing?
That one family waved us out. They didn't want to get hit.
They didn't. No, they was like, go. They're like, stop. We're just waiting until y'all are gone. Literally just did 2 big circles right there in the middle of rush hour traffic through the parking lot. It was great.
Through 2 lanes of traffic and the parking lot at the same time. It was great.
God.
It was great.
Oh, man. It sounds like I missed the best time ever.
Thanks for missing it so I could have get it.
That's right.
Anytime.
Well, speaking of missing it, that's something I was going to bring up. In a few weeks,
Right.
we have an Old Forester pick.
Yeah, and I'm going to miss that too, right?
It's on a Wednesday.
Yeah. I'm going to go up there. That's it. I'm fighting Andrew. I'm going to tell him, why did you...
I'm free on Wednesdays.
God, there you go. Jason's in. I'm out. No, that's awesome, man. I'd love to go there, but I'm going to be...
Four Roses is where you
Why don't you go, man?
Teaching again. I teach... The only day
You don't get sick days?
I literally have.
You don't get sick days.
I literally have flexibility outside of Wednesday, and they picked every barrel pick on Wednesday. So
you look a little sick. Looking at you.
Oh my God! Thank
When's
you.
that pick? How many weeks?
It is on October 16th.
Yeah, he's looking sick right now.
Yeah. I'm looking like I'm not gonna be able to make it. Yeah, I probably won't be able to make it. No. Yeah.
Why not, dog?
Bro, I got stuff to do. I got things. I got work. I got to pay the bills and feed the family. How do you think I do that? How do you think I put bread on the table?
You got the skills to pay the bills.
By
That's how
mine
you
and
do it.
Jason's taxpayer dollars is how I think.
Oh my God, that's it. All right, we're cutting this off. This is out of control.
Yeah, so I believe we have another review to read.
We do, and I think I might know who this is, but I'll reveal it after we get through the review. So this review was left for us by Cruise Fiend on Apple Podcasts, and the title of the review was Awesome Trio of Bourbon Enthusiasts. And this listener said, it's always a pleasure to fire up this podcast. The banter is fun, and the reviews are great. The boys make my daily commute much more tolerable. I really enjoy when Kenny comes to Anthony's way of thinking about Buffalo Trace. Oh,
smack.
Oh, smack. Remember, Buffalo Trace didn't start the fire. They just stoked it. And then he had a whole bunch of emojis here. If I can figure out what those are, it's a
That's
wink,
true, though.
Wink, laughing,
and then fire bourbon.
and bourbon. Perfect. He said, I truly enjoy the reviews that include whiskeys that are out of the box, bourbons, rye, American malt, among others. Help whiskey drinkers find different avenues to enjoy. Keep up the good work. I will keep listening. Well, Cruise Fiend, that's very nice of you. And, because they mentioned Buffalo Trace, I'm going to have to go out on a limb here and say, even though I have no way of knowing, you think Cruise Fiend could be Ralph?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay. Well, they shut that down. I thought I knew who it was. It could be.
I don't think so.
Well, whoever you are, we really appreciate that feedback, and I'm glad that I can sway Kenny toward BT once in a while. You never know.
Man,
here
like I said, I've been unfair.
Jason, sorry you have to go through this.
No, I'm good. I'm listening.
Yeah.
You actually listen to some, Jason, right?
Yeah, I've heard this.
So, my the biggest beef just comes with the secondary on it, and it's not their fault for that. And they do keep their BTAC, their Pappy retail, literally some of the cheapest out there compared to other special releases.
It's going up again this year, I heard.
Yeah. Well, dude, the new
even if it's 10, 15 bucks.
It should.
But the new SMBLE was like $235 out the door at the distillery.
To be honest with you, we passed on it. We didn't go just because I didn't get good reviews.
At $150 plus tax, that's one thing. But
for sure.
Hitting $233 plus tax.
Yeah.
And honestly, I enjoy a lot of four-row single barrels as much or more.
Yep.
And then blondes, I usually score higher than the SMBLEs.
Yep.
But the only other thing, so that price with Buffalo Trace, they keep their prices good, but the secondary just gives it a bad taste for me. But also just how they are so secretive, and that does drive me crazy. So as far as like true mash bills, true ages on stuff, and I just, I'm a whiskey nerd, and I like to know the ins and outs like that.
It is odd in this day and time when in kind of the whiskey boom or through that time is that they don't disclose that because everybody wants to know it, right? I mean, you do. But they do not. They don't care.
Right.
They're nice when you go there, just they don't care.
Yeah, they don't.
I love it. That's so great. Oh, man. Well, if you would like a shout out, please leave us a review, preferably 5-star, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook. Send us a message. We love to hear from our listeners, and we will give you a shout out the next time we record. So, Kenny and Jason, we have a brand new bottle, one that's hit the market recently. This is actually the little book, the Infinite Edition 1. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Because if it had a Y, then it would be Infinity. Ooh. So this is from the Jim Beam Distillery there in Claremont.
Great looking bottle. Sorry.
It is a great looking bottle. We're going to talk about that here in a second. The bottle date is 2024. Kenny's waiting for me to pass it down there. Hold on one second. The ABV is 59.65. The proof is 119.3. The age is 8 to 20 years. Yeah, let me get to that here in a second. I just poured some out. I'm passing the bottle. It's good. Every time.
Look at that pour, Jason.
All right.
He's pouring like it's his own bottle.
8 ounces?
He's pouring like it's his own bottle.
I got that GTS pour coming in there.
Oh, it is his own bottle. So
it is my own bottle. No. Okay. So here is, I'm going to put the mash bill, I guess, kind of in the age statement together again, because the way this whiskey is discussed is there are 3 generations of distillers involved in the whiskey and the components of the whiskey. So
I did like that.
Yeah, the first component is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey aged 20 years, and that's Booker Nose component. Fred Nose component is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey aged 14 years. Freddie Nose component is a straight bourbon whiskey aged 7 years. And then they have a shared family component, which I'm not quite sure what that means. There's this little neck tag on the bottle I'm going to open and read here in a moment and see if it has any special wisdom. But that is a 7-year-old, or no, sorry, an 8-year-old whiskey. And so I think Beam only has 2 mash bills. Is that correct for the bourbon?
Correct.
So that's 76, 14, 10. That's corn, rye, barley, and then a 63, 27, 10. The higher rye and the lower rye mash bills. The MSRP on this is $199.99.
Not around here, but yeah.
It's like 220 plus.
220 to 250.
Every single store in the area marked this up, except for one that marked it up very marginally, Jackson's Wine and Spirits.
Yeah.
So I actually called the day that they posted this on their social media, and they took a payment over the phone, and they allowed me to purchase it. But I think after tax, it was about $222 for me. And
it's not bad at all.
Not bad at all, considering what other stores are charging.
It's cheaper than other ones have it listed for without tax.
And one quick thing I want to say about Jackson's Wine and Spirits that is breaking news for them. Not only are they a great retailer of spirits and bourbon and beer and everything else you could want, but they are now cleared to start building their new building. So they are going to start building a new store right next door to their old one. And that's I spoke to John just recently here, and he said it's finally happening because they've been at that for like 2 years almost.
Yeah.
He was talking to me, and you've been over there for that Russell's pick.
Right, and he was still saying how it wasn't going to happen. But let's talk about this bottle. What do you guys think about the look of this bottle?
Great looking bottle. That black on black, little different shades.
Right.
I mean, that's I like the box. They got rid of that front cheap plastic kind of Booker's thing.
Right. It's got the standard wax, but it's sexy. It looks nice.
It is.
But it has a pull tab.
wax with the pull tab if you're taking notes.
Rare character if you're listening in.
Yeah, I mean, it's really cool that you have that bottle, but if I ever injure my fingers on it, I might have to pull a lawsuit.
Dog, I've got scars. Literally have scars from opening up rare character bottles.
There you go. This little tag on the front of it looks like an envelope, and I've just opened it. It's like on a black hang tag, and I'm going to take it out here, and I think it's just going to have the information for the blend on it, but I'm not sure. This is right here live on the podcast. It basically has a lot of tiny print on it.
It is very small. I can't read from here.
And I can't read. I can read, but I don't feel like I want to read because it has tasting notes on it, so I don't want to read that. And it basically says that this is a new way of thinking about blending. And there's a note from Freddie No, and he has a little gold embossed signature on there, and it says he wants you to know about the story of bringing together the bourbons distilled by my granddaddy, Booker, my dad, Fred, and me, for the first time blending our journeys as whiskey makers into single liquid. It's been 3 generations in the making. Enjoy.
So this is Beam's generations.
That's true.
It's like Wild Turkey's generations. This is Beam's generations.
In that sentence, he said he wants you to know. Did he spell no, N-O-E? Because that was a lost opportunity if he didn't.
I believe so. Let's see.
He should have.
Want you to know. Let's see.
They spell it correctly.
Is it K-N-O-W?
K-N-O-W.
Well, I may have made it up. I can't actually read. So
facts optional, bro.
That would have been a good joke, Anthony, but then...
It's not mine. Brings together.
It's already done.
It's already done.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I missed it.
Done.
Holy cow. Sorry. No, it's great. He did do it.
You talked about the mash bills, though. I did a little research on this one. Please. If you don't mind me sharing a little bit.
I would love to hear what you have
to
say.
So the two mash bills they have, you got the high rye, which is old granddad.
Okay.
You got the low rye, which is Beam, just Jim Beam.
Okay.
So the 3 generations, ones they laid down. So Booker knows a 20-year. That was the low rye mash bill.
Okay.
The 14-year was also low rye. The Freddie Nose is a 7-year Basil Hayden toasted. I didn't realize that until I found it online.
Dang, man, you're bringing the knowledge here.
I try. I
That's
try a
good.
little bit.
I like that.
And then the share component was also low rye. So you have 3 components of low rye. They're equally about 25% each.
Okay.
And then the 4th component is the Basil Hayden toasted.
So there's no high rye in there.
No high rye in this one. Nope.
Well,
at least per the internet.
That's actually really good because one of the big problems I've had with a lot of these Beam special releases is they don't tell you the percentages. Yep. So we
had to dig for that one.
Yeah, we recently reviewed Little Book Chapter 8. Kenny, you remember?
Yeah.
And one of the things that we said about it was there was all these components, and one was really old.
One was like a 15, 16-year-old?
Yeah.
Or it's probably like 1%.
Yeah, we didn't know how much was actually in there, so it helps to know what's actually in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of them should do that, right? I mean, just get like the Discovery stuff we've talked about, the Bardstown.
Right.
Yeah. Ben Holiday does that.
That's right.
Yeah, no, this is, I called it uncharted territory, but as Kenny and Jason both pointed out, it's not really uncharted territory because you have seen generations with the only other family, I would say, in Kentucky that has a similar structure, albeit that Jimmy Russell is still with us and Booker No is not, but the same kind of thing where you got 3 generations of folks that are working in distilling that have that connection, and you're using distillate from each person. Did generations do that? Was it distillate from each person? Is that the way they did it? Or was it just they each got to pick their own component?
They kind of like actually picked their own components, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it necessarily had juice that Bruce distilled in there.
Okay. So
I could be wrong.
No,
But, you know.
it may be, but I mean, it's crazy. So for better or worse, we've reviewed a lot of Beam product on our podcast, and I am not a person. I'm a Beam skeptic. Okay. A lot of their yes. I was gonna say, I know you guys on Arsenic Culture have done. You guys did that whole vertical of those Hardens releases, right? The Hardens Creek.
We did.
And what did y'all think of those?
No, it'd be a pass for your show. It'd be a hard pass. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For keeping the format. No.
But speaking of some of their stuff, so this does not have any of that high rye Old Granddad in it then.
Not that I see. No, not at
Now,
all.
did y'all see where that Old Granddad 16 year just hit?
Oh yeah.
It's
Is it out? Is it out now? I know it's coming.
Somebody had it listed on auction in one of the natty groups, so I don't know.
I think
if
it's coming in that box. You know, they have that subscription.
Yeah.
I think one of my friends, his name's Jordan too, but I think it's coming maybe November. Somebody mentioned. But
Okay.
It's 100 proof. So if it's 16 years old, 100 proof, I think they probably had to add a lot of water, unless it just all spent at the bottom of the rick house.
I would think a lot of water.
So there's no way I'm gonna overpay for it. Like I've seen 2 different auctions listed for it, and there's no way I pay what it's going for on auction
What are they
because
going for? Can you say? You remember?
one was last I checked, it was up to $380, and it still had like 24 hours left before the auction ended. So I don't know what it ended up at, but no way I could do that for a 16-year-old that's 100 proof like that.
I wonder what they'll put that at MSRP. I'd say it'll be
know.
150, 200, somewhere around there probably.
Yeah, I have to look.
Gotta be. I mean, the one thing I will say is Beam hasn't really come out the gate with any of their special releases being like massively, massively priced. I mean, for something that's got, 16 or whatever 20-year-old bourbon in it, like they had the Bardstown release recently, right? Too, that was part of the special series. We can go around Bardstown collect. I think that was still like $250, $300. They aren't approaching those territories of going like completely bonkers on their oldest liquid.
Look about Wild Turkey Generations.
Right.
It was $450 retail.
Right.
Is that right? $450 to
I think
$500.
you're right. It was
Right.
Here locally, it was Here locally, a lot of stores were $550, but it was $450, $500.
Yeah.
This is actually way less expensive.
Yeah, they're keeping it kind of
Half the price.
Yeah. So let's nose some liquid here.
Let's go nosing.
I mean, nose for me, typical Beam, right? I mean,
When you say typical Beam, can you articulate?
some nuts, some nuttiness.
It's a little nuttiness. It's a little bit.
These glasses
oak.
are nice that we're nosing in.
Oh yeah, which glass is that?
These.
Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to
Anthony's
complete
a
the
step
sentence
behind
there.
on
I'm a
this- on
step
this
behind on
episode.
this one. You guys keep getting me all the time. Sorry about that. No, classic little nuttiness,
Little nutty, little caramel.
caramel, oak, vanilla. Like that's the one thing I will say. I think I'm on record saying this once or twice, but there was a time where I said if an alien came down from outer space and said, I want to drink some bourbon, what's the best representation of bourbon? As much as I knock Beam, I would have said, get me a 12 to 15-year-old Knob Creek pick. I'm talking the old school ones. And that would be a representation of what bourbon should taste like. I'm getting that on this nose.
For sure. I mean, that's what I'm getting to.
I went back in for another nose. The actual vanilla is very prominent.
Right.
On my initial nose, I did not get super prominent, but and that vanilla came through at towards the middle and end of my long nose.
So, Jason, you said you were doing research on this.
Not much, but
Did you come across where, I think I read this correctly, they're going to try to keep a little bit of this liquid back and make it an infinity blend?
Yeah, I looked at that. So they actually,
what's the deal there?
They actually looked at this as like they're holding 30% back is what they're saying.
Okay.
There was a percentage I did find on there. If you think of it, let me think of an example. I'll cross over to beer a little bit. I mean,
Please.
that's my kind of expertise, probably more than bourbon. But Sam Adams, you've heard of them, that brewery. So they make
Right.
a Utopias. So
That
a lot
gold,
of that
gold bottle.
insanely nice bottle,
Right.
overpriced, but it's almost like a cognac. It's very high proofed.
Right.
So they have a thread of that is very old. So it's like you just keep adding to it, and I'm drawing a blank on what that's called, but that's what they're kind of doing with this. I feel like they're always going to have an older thread in the blend.
The thing that's most interesting about that is what if
Like a sourdough starter, right?
Correct.
Sourdough,
Correct.
You
Yeah.
just
Perfect.
You got bread that's 100 years old or more.
Right.
The starter was.
Yeah, and that's really cool that they're going to do that. And I wondered though, how much is this going to change year to year as a result of them holding liquid back and doing that? I think it can change quite a bit if it's only 30%, and it creates that nice like lineage to say like, okay, how many generations down the line it can go. So I think this is something that will be appreciated a long time from now, and maybe right now selling the story is a little bit more difficult for the enthusiasts. It's like, wait a minute, I thought Little Book was already an extension of like maybe Booker's, and now they're doing an extension of Little Book. Like, what are they doing here, right? So, do we need that? Yeah,
I don't have one, but they have that Booker's. What's the new Booker's called?
The reserves one.
The reserves.
Okay, yeah.
So when I saw this Little Book Infinite and I saw Booker's reserves, first thing I thought was they're using their own stuff to enter a little bit more premium market.
As opposed to
When I first started, like I said, I'm bourbon newbie, so
newbie.
I am.
Nobody would know.
So that is very true, and I will. Yeah, that's true. But so I didn't start buying bourbon till fall of 2019. Took my first sip January 2020.
Yep.
And
It's well documented now.
back then, I was grabbing some Knob Creek picks that were 12 to 16 years old, 14 to 16 years
you
old.
still find them.
And like still in the store. You go to Total Wine, you go to Liquor Barn,
Yep.
they're just still there. And then, so I just thought that was normal. And then all of a sudden, there was no more of those.
Right.
But then you see Kentucky Senator with their 15-year-old, Chicken Cock with their 15-year-old.
Right.
That was all beam stuff.
Can you say chicken cock on the air? I think you can. Chicken cock. Okay, go ahead.
That
You
was
say chicken, and it will say
there you
the
go.
other one.
Cock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was all 15-year stuff. So that was 15-year-old. Basically, the Knob Creek picks went away
Yep.
to sell out to a third, to create their own label with. So now that they're bringing in this kind of stuff out, it seems like they're keeping their juice to make their own older one-off spin-offs higher end and not selling it to that third party now.
Yeah.
They're keeping it for them. That's the first thing I thought was, okay, you're not going to see as much older beam and other brands now. You're going to keep it in their own because they're seeing what it can actually do in the market.
Well, I mean, it's what I could read about this one too. It's going to be an annual release, right? So I mean, it's going to be in addition to Little Book going through this one. So I think you're right, Kenny. I mean, that's what they're going to be doing.
Like, why would they sell it for cheaper to Chicken
Correct.
Cock and Kentucky Senator anymore when they can make larger money on their own name?
Yeah, when you're selling this at what MSRP was like 200-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, $199. Yeah. And you know what's funny? When you mentioned that about the picks going away and everything else, at least they did it right. They didn't really fool anybody because their picks never went away. The price didn't change much. All those kind of things. So they were being strategic about their liquid without us knowing about it. I much prefer that than like, hey, this product's going off the shelf. Sorry, Heaven Hill. Again, I'm on here slandering Heaven Hill. We're going to just take it off the shelf, and then all of a sudden we're going to get premium offerings at much more. So
Charge
I think
you $30 more a bottle.
right. I think they did a nice job the way that they handled this, even if they were rethinking about selling their older liquid. The only thing I will say is I thought I remember reading somewhere that they were running out of old liquid. Remember there was a whole thing where all these heritage distilleries didn't have old liquid anymore?
Isn't that just crazy to think of, though? Like how big they are?
I just feel like it's, I don't know, fugazi or whatever. I like to say that, right?
I would agree.
It can't be a real story when you hear these guys are running out of barrels. I don't know.
At least with turkey, man. That's what I've heard.
Well,
That they don't have a lot of older stuff.
Is it real or not? And now we have, Jim Beam has never done a super limited release.
They are
limited, right?
so
big.
huge.
They got so many barrels.
I've never heard that they're out of old stuff.
What was the Baker's Rye and then the 30th anniversary, whatever the hell that one was? I don't remember. But the big bottles, those are pretty limited.
Booker's Rye,
Book
30.
Sorry, I said Baker's.
Hang on, Booker's Rye? Or are you talking about the Booker's like 25th?
Well, they
or 30th
did. They
or
did.
whatever?
Well, they done the Rye. Of course, they're allegedly going to be doing that again, right? That's what
I
I'm
heard
hearing.
that.
I heard
Yeah.
like 2 years ago that it was.
I'm hearing a lot right now
Ready,
online.
or it was, but it wasn't quite where they wanted it. But they had it basically made per se.
Well, there's a good example. Okay, so you brought up Booker's Rye. They had to release a lot of those because it seems like they still creep up. Even though I'm not going to spend $2,500, $3,000 on a bottle of it, even though it's really dang good.
They're down to 2 now.
They're down to $2,000, okay? But how are they still available? When did Booker's Rye release?
2016.
2016. And, go look the secondary. This past week, I bet you one was listed. So either people bought it and sat on it because it was rye, or else there's just a lot of it was made. I mean,
Rye's a weird market, too.
It is a weird market.
Well, it says on the bottle how many bottles were made in that batch.
It does?
A lot of people just, they set on them because even there's a lot of local friends that when they were $800 are like, oh gosh, I don't know if I should do that or not. And they went ahead and bought them. And all of a sudden they saw the 800 jump to friggin' 1,500. They're like, oh wow, I'm gonna sit on this longer. And
right.
I think
so a lot of people just set on it.
I feel like about 2014, maybe 2015 is when people really started trying to buy like futures. You know what I mean? Like thinking, hey, this is going to go up. This keeps going up for secondary purposes. That's when I noticed in town things were much harder to get. You know, about that 2014, 2016 mark. So,
well, gentlemen, should we go in for our first taste?
We should.
All right.
So, talking a minute ago about how they sold, tons of stuff off, whether it was to Prideful Goat and Kentucky Senator and Chicken Cock and whoever. Caroline at J-Hob, their historian, she did say that a lot of times that kind of stuff, if they sold it off then, that was usually because it was also potentially off profile for what they had wanted.
Gotcha.
Like it might have been in the pick programs and got passed over and passed over when it was 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, 15 years, blah, 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 blah.
Makes sense.
So me thinking that now they're keeping it for themselves versus the other, that might be right, but also what Caroline said makes sense too. But I definitely see that them seeing now what the premium market, just like the 16-year-old granddad, they're seeing what people are willing to pay for something that's older age statement now and things like that. So I think they would definitely keep it, for themselves and do other things with it for sure.
If you got the room for it and you can afford it, I don't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah, they sell so much. Yeah, just their regular stuff, dude. They can do whatever they want.
You think they sell more or Jack, like globally?
I think supposedly number one is the Jim Beam.
I think the
80 proofer, is that what it is?
I just meant like overall as a distillery. Yeah. I mean, I would assume more Jim Beam.
I think they go back and forth from 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I thought Heaven Hill was number 2.
I don't think so.
I thought Jack was number 3.
Well, we'd have to do some
facts are optional.
Yeah. There you go, Jason. Thank you. Thank you for reminding us, brother.
You're welcome. Just got to make a compelling argument and go with it. That's what we do on our show. So
no, I'm pretty sure that like 1 and 2 are usually Jack and Jim. But if Heaven Hill's crept up there, then it wouldn't surprise me. They got a lot of storage and stuff. But so, gentlemen, should we go in for our first sip?
Yep.
All right.
I was trying to look back through the blend. So anywhere from a 20-year-old to a 7-year-old is where this is blended from.
Right.
From online, each are equal parts, roughly. They said it roughly about 25% each.
Okay.
Oh, dang. According to their consistently increasing sales volume per year, Jack Daniel's American Bourbon Whiskey brand is the largest in the world. Oh, never mind. That was from 2021.
I could still see that, though. I mean, you think of like rockers, like you look at that. Remember back in the day, you had Led Zeppelin and Rolling Stones all had a ball of Jack in their pictures.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah.
That was the one. It was also more expensive than Beam growing up. So
yeah. You go really back in the day, you got old Blue Eyes.
I bet.
Frank Sinatra.
That's true. He was buried with a ball of Jack.
Jack Daniels.
No joke, yeah.
And they still use him to this day as their spokesperson,
on like some Heaven Hill tours I've been on, they talked about how Beam was number 1 and they were number 2, edging in. So I guess they were putting themselves in that category because they are bourbon.
Maybe Kentucky, too.
And even though Jack Daniels really is bourbon, it's called Tennessee whiskey. Yep. So they were probably excluding Jack Daniels out of that.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. So what do you think of this sip?
We got this. I'm going to go in for a second one.
Okay.
I'm getting sweet. A little bit of the like dusty peanut kind of thing, dusty nuts.
Oh, yeah. Dusty nuts.
Yeah. It's not wild to me. It doesn't stand out crazy, but it's good.
Compared to the standard little books that have been out, I think this is a lot better. I don't know if that 25% or whatever, that older juice just makes that big of a difference or what. But it's definitely more rounded. It's not, because on the little book that we just did, the latest one, was it the middle that fell off or the end that fell off? Something was just like missing, whatever it was.
It disappeared for a second, then it came back at the end.
That's what it was, yeah. This is actually definitely front, middle, back. Just a good.
Yeah,
takes you through it.
Yeah, it's very good.
What do you think, Anthony?
I'm going to give you guys the sweater alert. There is definitely a caramel vanilla sweater that goes like that's the palate's dominated, I think, by that. And it's funny because the tag says something about dark fruits, and I'm like, if there are dark fruits in there, like I'm missing them because I'm getting all the woody, like bourbon flavors that are well aged, seasoned, and then the finish to me is all that peanut, like a lot of that peanut. I describe it to people as because I'm weird and I munch on peanut shells and peanut skin, like how that goes when you're like, okay, I'm eating shelled peanuts. And sometimes I like to get a little bit of salt or whatever. And then
you eat the shells.
Yeah, I'm lazy.
You eat the shells?
Well, I have
Hang on.
No,
you said you do?
No, I don't eat the shells.
Okay.
I don't eat the shells, but I've chewed on them before.
No, I'm normal.
I was making sure.
Yeah,
I've
go
chewed
ahead.
on
We're
peanut
listening to
shells and tossed them, and then I've also eaten the peanut with the skin on it.
That is a different flavor. I agree.
Yes, a different flavor. That's what fills the back palate for me.
Yep.
And to me, it's very classic. Like Kenny just said, it's almost like if you took yourself back in time and you had access to like the greatest 15-year-old Knob Creek pick that you could imagine. Mm-hmm. This is kind of on par with that. It's like everything in Beam that you want.
Yeah.
But it's distinctly Beam. What was that? What are you doing?
What are we talking about?
What was that noise? Gosh dang it.
So looking back over these, I'm reading through the notes I took. So of the first 20-year blend, notes of charred oak and smoke. I don't get the smoke. I get
Charred oak.
Yeah. Okay.
I get the oak.
The Fredno, the 14-year blend, notes of cherry, dark fruit, and then brown sweets. I don't know what the hell that is, but
Tootsie Roll?
maybe.
You know what? Hey, that's a great descriptor.
I've never heard brown sweets.
That's a great descriptor, though.
I don't get fruit. I definitely don't get cherry.
Where's the fruit at? Where's the cherry?
Yeah. The other one, though, the odd one to me is the Basil Hayden toasted one, the Freddie No, caramel spice vanilla. So I get a little bit of each of those, but nothing stands out with them. But I don't get any smoke throughout any of this. I think that'd be the takeaway. And I thought I might because that's some of their tasting notes.
Right. No, that's...
I get more oak and not really the smoke.
Correct. Yeah. Maybe the toasted gives it a little more like caramel. If you toast the barrel like that, I'm guessing. I
get that right at the front of the palate, that caramel vanilla. Mm. I'm still trying to figure out where the cherry comes in. Like, that's a very elusive cherry note if it's there. And if it's there, it's probably like a chocolate cherry where there's more chocolate than cherry.
Yeah. If you told me it's a very dark fruit that's like dried out, maybe a little, but I don't get cherry.
I like that.
Yeah.
I can vibe with that for sure. Like,
I just wish they would have done some of their high rye OGD in this blend, man.
Right. Yeah, it's odd. I mean, I guess it gives you kind of a blank palette going forward, though, right? Or blank canvas. You can do what they want. They're not attached to this blend.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
Something I didn't know until recently.
Yeah.
Is why they called it Little Book. You think I would have known that?
Oh, you didn't know that?
I didn't. No, I just kind of always assumed. Maybe
talk
some of the listeners know.
I don't think we've talked about that.
Yeah, but it's Booker No. It's what he would call his grandson, Freddie No. Just
there you
Little
go.
Book. That's
right.
what he called him. It makes sense. I just had no idea. I never explored that, I guess.
Well, it's interesting, that kind of culture. We had the episode when we recorded with Bruce Russell, and Bruce kind of interspersed in his stories about his interactions with Jimmy. That's when I was kind of like, these bottles, whatever they mean to us as consumers, mean so much more to them. Because those stories were amazing. My parents,
for sure.
My parents, I'm not putting them on blast. Because why would they care about a bourbon podcast when they're not bourbon enthusiasts, right? They genuinely enjoyed listening to that episode with Bruce, and they're like, those stories were amazing because it makes them relate to the kind of things that that we don't know about, like peeling the curtain back on family interactions and things like that. Even if it was just a limited amount, that stuff means something to people, connects to them. So I get that. I mean, I know you inspired me to go kind of on a little crazy rant.
No, I'm with you.
It's nuts.
That's all the story. I just love it. All the stories that were not recorded.
Yeah,
all the stories on my other Russell's picks I've been on. It's just so awesome to listen to.
When I first went down the rabbit hole in craft beer, going like hardcore, I mean, there's not been a beer made that I think I've missed that I ever wanted to try. I've been very fortunate.
Dude.
I've been a great beer group for decade plus.
You're the goat with the beer.
And, I remember when I first started, you would go to a big share, and again, it's beer, not bourbon, but you would be wanting to have that pour so bad. You're focused on that pour, right? Like that's all you care. You can't see anybody else in the room. Like you're so focused on that pour. And then by year 5, and then by year now, you know, decade later, I don't even care what we're drinking at all. Like I could care less.
Right.
But if somebody has something they're passionate about and want to share with me, I'm all about it. But it's all the stories.
Right.
You know, we were in Michigan recently, and honestly, I couldn't tell you what I drank. I mean, it wasn't because I was too drunk. Maybe I was, but I was just talking. You know, I was just talking. So that's where it's all at. That's where it's at for me.
Yeah.
Same with bourbon.
Yeah. No, it really does mean a bunch. And
the best whiskey is, you know, shared with friends. Sure. And it's like, and my boy Harry Micah, man, I guess back in January, so we talked about, he's like, you know, this year I'm focusing on memories and focusing on, you know, I'm not worried about the bottles this year. It's you know, about memories and stuff, man. So it's pretty cool.
It's crazy. I mean,
but I like to do both. So,
yes.
Gentlemen.
Oh, for sure.
Close your eyes.
Oh my God. Really?
Eyes closed.
Oh, eyes are closed. I got plenty of green glasses here. Here.
I
already got yours, Jason.
Sorry.
Here we go.
I had to open my eyes looking for my glass.
Jason, do you need more little book or not? I mean, not little book. Sorry, little book.
Let me move it over here and look. Hold on. I think I'm okay.
Okay, all right, good.
I've got 4 ounces left.
Eyes closed, don't cheat.
Got them closed. I don't, Kenny. Does anybody really want to cheat on a blind?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, no.
I don't want to. I think maybe when I first did one, maybe I wanted to, but no, I want to go.
Especially lately, I'm like, I've actually kind of dialed in a little bit, so I want the true test of the palate. So,
no, I just want to see what I like better.
There you go.
That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah. Perfect.
I will say that too, Anthony. There you go, eyes open. Anthony has been dialed in, man. He's been hitting these blinds pretty good. He's been guessing pretty good.
What are you dialing into? 8675309.
Jenny.
Nah, he's been pretty spot on a lot of these blinds, man. Better than me.
You gonna give us any hints on this one?
No, dude.
Damn, I need like a hint.
He literally gives no hints ever.
Hint.
Yeah.
All we're doing on
is
this.
Is it bourbon?
All we're doing on this.
It's bourbon. Yeah. He says right glass, left glass. Which one's better?
Yeah, just which one you like better.
Which one do you like better? Keep it simple.
And this one we're going to go one step further. So we're going to do better or worse, but you're going to give it a score. So whether you score the little book a 5, a 7, an 8, whatever, then you're scoring this one the blind against it.
1 out of 10.
So, yeah, just 1 through 10. Nothing major. Just
1,
quick and easy.
1 in 10. 1 in 10.
I was thinking 1 is the loneliest number, a little 3 Dog Night.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. 1 is the loneliest number.
Good song.
Yeah. You know, my parents.
Together, we'd have a hell of a music trivia.
We could. Yes, we would.
Crush it.
My dad took me to a 3 Dog Night concert. Yeah.
Was it good?
It was good. It was fantastic. Yeah. Okay. Always remember it. And I
told my dad, to Spain.
What's that?
Never been to Spain. That's a good song.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. That's a great. I'm always joy to the world, right?
It's a great one too.
Joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, and joy to you and me. Yeah, there you go.
But they also did. I got stoned and missed it. I guess
yeah.
Great song.
Yep. It was just funny because I remember my dad trying to explain to me why everybody was dressed the way they were. He's like, you know, these people.
What the smell was?
He's like, they're left over from the '60s and '70s. I'm like, okay, because it was like I think probably the '80s or early '90s when he took me, and it was a lot of fun. So, see, I wish everybody could have a dad to take him to 3 Dog Night.
That's pretty cool.
At Packard Music Hall.
My dad did introduce me to Bob Seger, ZZ Top.
Are you serious?
And then Hank Jr. My grandpa introduced me to George Jones, Hank Sr., Hank Jr. So
wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. You got it. That's very good.
My mother introduced me to Conway Twitty. We went to Twitty City.
I went to Twitty City. Hell yeah.
That's beautiful.
I went to Twitty City. Yeah.
See, I got that vibe on it. I was
that dude's creepy, but the ladies love Conway Twitty.
There you go.
All right, so what are we trying to say on this blind? What do you want?
Just picking first place, second place, but just one small step forward, just score it. Whether, hey, I like this one's a 7, this one's an 8, this one's a 6, this one's a 7, whatever. Just a small little score.
I'm not going first.
All right. So what do you want me to do? Score this?
Rank which one you like better and then score it.
Well,
okay.
If you score it, it'll be ranked. That's fine.
Actually, I'll go first. I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So I think I like the Infinite Little Book better. The other one, it's good, but it gives me immediate heartburn almost. Like it's a lot of alcohol, it seems to me like. Is the proof close?
Yes.
Oh.
So for me, I'd probably score Little Book probably 7.5, and I'll give the blind a 7. I mean, it's close.
That's what I want to see if it's close. You know
close.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So whether it's a 6, 6.5, 6 to 7, 7, 7.5, whatever.
So 7.5 and a 7.
I'm taking a quick swig of the Little Book.
Yeah.
I keep calling it Little Book, but it is Little Book. It's
Little
Book
Book.
Infinite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to call it something else because it's so special.
I would like to let the blind pour open up a little bit, maybe.
So here's where I'm at. I will give the Little Book an 8, and I'll give the blind a 7. The reason I'm giving the blind a 7 is not because there's anything wrong with it. It's a great whiskey. It's more one-dimensional than the Little Book, in my opinion. But I think it might be like a really good Knob Creek pick. That's my thought process, because it's got like a one-trick, straight shot, but really good flavor. Like massively good flavor.
I think it's bean profile. I mean,
I think it is too.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is I think it almost makes me appreciate the Little Book a little bit more.
100%.
Because it has more nuance, more of a flavor ride, Kenny. There you go. If I'm completely wrong, it's fine, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. The Little Book is a little more up and down, front's different than the beginning than the end. The blind is a little more one-dimensional. But the blind, I'm not saying it's a really good one, because it's just, to me, it's okay. Yeah. But the blind is a 15-year Knob Creek pick from Total Wine.
Wow.
So, but it's not one of my favorite ones. It's a 15-year Knob Creek pick.
Yep.
The reason I brought this out, man, because it's 15 years old. They were $60-$65. Right now on secondary, any of these old Knob Creek picks are still 1 to 120.
There you go.
So that's why I wanted to bring it into it.
Less.
So you're talking about 220 to 250 with tax on that one, 120 on secondary at the most right now on this. So you're talking about less than half the price. So that's why I wanted to see how close you're within half a point, you're within 1 point, but you're half price, literally half price.
Yep.
So that's why I wanted to bring that out to see.
And I have to say this real quick, because I love the fact that you said I took a sip of the blind that gave me immediate heartburn. Well, you know what? That's because it was picked by Total Wine.
Touche, sir. Touche.
There you go.
I almost grabbed one of my favorite Knob Creek picks, but I didn't do that because I didn't want to be. Man, I should have still grabbed it because I think it might have beat Little Book. But I just grabbed this one.
I mean, but that one's close enough. You know what I mean? But still,
this is just a regular generic. Because like, if you're looking on secondary and you're like looking for like some banger Knob Creek pick,
sure,
some of those do get the $200. You know what I'm saying? Because if it's a known one, this one here, you could buy any 14, 15-year-old Knob Creek pick you see on secondary anywhere and get this taste profile. And that's why I wanted to pull that out.
I'm glad you brought up secondary too. So looking at the Infinite Little Book, when it first came out, I mean, it was pushing 450, 500.
Right.
It crashed quickly.
Big time.
Like now it's like 250, maybe 3 if you found the right set of eyes. But that's a good thing, right? I mean, I love the secondary market's coming down, so it meets us in the middle.
Right.
But this bottle particularly, like you can buy this one shipped to your door for under $300.
Right.
And you paid what, $230-ish?
$222 after tax, yeah.
So I mean, still not bad though. You can buy it secondary and get it shipped for $80 more.
Right. And you know what? That's a really good analysis, because the other thing that's really
Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say it.
I know you're good. That's the thing with all Beam products, like with the exception of Booker's Rye, literally, and the 30th and 25th or whatever else they might have, with the exception of those few bottles, there are very few Beam products that command high secondary.
Agreed.
And I don't know whether to applaud that or to be worried about it, but it's always like that. If you can get it right at the rush in the first 2 weeks when it's not hit everywhere, but then their distribution is good, it usually hits everywhere all at one time. Then it just kind of sits and it churns. Like I have seen, so I was a pass on Little Book, the Chapter 8. Mm-hmm. And that was hard for me because I've liked the Little Book series. So I was a pass on that, and while I was a pass on it, I looked around, and I've seen it hit everywhere in Kentucky, and some stores have it for like $190 something plus tax.
Yep, I've seen those too.
It's sitting hard, and I think it deserves to sit hard because they're about $30 over MSRP, and I think that at MSRP I'd still might buy it, but that's not reality here. Like everyone's going to charge $30, $40, $50 more, and sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not.
I think we're going to see it come back down, though. I mean, I think we're almost to the point now where we're going to see Buffalo Trace products sitting on the shelf again.
Right.
I think Eagle Rare is coming. I know some people that
if it's not now, give it 3 years at the most.
Turn back the
because
clock.
they've already had their second still going now for what, a year, 2 years?
I'd say a year and a half.
So it's coming.
Yeah, I know one of my friends actually kind of owns a restaurant bar kind of thing, and Eagle Rare is not allocated anymore. So if the distributor has it, they just get it. They can order cases of it. So
there you go.
That's good to see.
That's because Republic is not in charge of it.
But also Eagle Rare now has been like 55 plus tax in the stores.
Even distilleries like 45.
Yeah.
I don't want to open a can of worms, but next episode we're going to talk about, is Eagle Rare at $55 worth it? And I think you might have to say yes, but I don't know, because they get Russell's 10 at what, 38, 35,
I think
38?
for the age-stated Buffalo Trace product, I mean, it's the one, right? If you
Right.
continue on that one, but
Right.
is it worth it? To me, no. I mean, even the single barrel picks I've had some pretty good ones, but
Yeah, it's been some good ones.
I would like to blind them though. I mean, just blind the whole lineup from BT.
What I want to do, and I have no idea how we will know this, is I want to see if and when the early times bottled and bond, once it becomes
Runs
Buffalo
out.
Trace juice.
Right.
run against.
I don't know. They might already be there. I don't know, because they actually did buy the stocks, but I don't know. I'd like to know that, because the Buffalo Trace blend, their own blender blend in their early times, I don't like it as much as the Brown Foreman one, but it's still very good for the money, but a lot better than most other Buffalo Trace products. But I just want to know when they're going to start, when they run out of that stock and start using their own BT juice, and I want to taste it then as well to see what it's like.
Yeah, that would be pretty amazing, because that early times Black Cap has beat, I know I have my own difficulties with it, but it's beat a lot of things in blinds.
Yeah, I've heard the shows, you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the blinds you poured us,
Yeah.
that's
I want y'all to try that, man. I enjoy it.
did.
This is freaking, it's a bad boy.
it is a very nice nose, kind of dusty-esque.
I agree.
The taste is pretty nice.
It is nice. It's less sharp and severe over what we just tasted. It's got like a little bit more finesse to it, I would say.
Is it finished?
No.
Wow.
Because it's got some layers.
It does. That's when I say finesse. Like,
I totally get what you're saying.
I wonder if that's more beam. If that's more beam, then that'd be even better, because then we can have something, because we had a 15-year off-the-shelf pick that was, probably neglected when it was picked. Sorry, Total Wine. And then you got maybe something else that's beam that's maybe there was a little more care given to it.
So when you all score, like you said, you may have to give it a rating. So I said 7.5 or something.
Yeah.
But when you do that, do you score out of 10 of every bourbon you've ever had, or do you try to like relate it to a product? You know what I mean?
Speaking for myself here, and Kenny might, I try to think about just objectively, if I had a scale of 1 to 10 for every single thing that I try, where would I rate it at?
Like, what's a 10 for you? Give me an example of a 10. So I'm just asking.
Gosh.
What about you, Ken? You got a 10?
A 10, I like Booker's Rye.
Okay.
I mean, since we're talking
But
about...
it's a rye, so it's...
That's a 10. The time when Kenny, which I've talked about, had a great time with this, is he brought a George T. Stagg. What was that, the Hazmat?
2009.
When Kenny got a bottle of 2009 George T. Stagg, he like literally went on a tour of Lexington, and I was like in the middle of like my routine at home, and he's like, "What are you doing, bro?" I'm like, "Well, the kids are getting ready for bed." Blah, blah. He's like, "I'm coming over," and I'm like, "Okay," and he just shows up at my door with Shannon, of course, and he's like, "Come on, bro." He's like, "You got to try this," and pours it. That was pretty dang epic.
That's amazing.
That's a 10.
GTS, one of my favorite pours I've ever had. It was the
Exactly.
first big bottle I got to try.
Yeah.
My buddy Charlie Eaton, I'm gonna give him a shout out.
There you
Works
go.
at Castle and Key.
Very good.
Fantastic dude. But
Okay.
I still owe you, buddy. I still owe you. He knows what I'm talking about.
There you go.
So for me though, go ahead and finish.
No, I was just say you brought that. You brought the Four Roses 20-year, right? Or was
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
20-year over.
yeah,
and I
the
had
box,
a 2018 George C. Stagg. For me, when I'm thinking about a 10 pour, I'm thinking about the time when I had an experience. It was like
That's right.
like
Yeah,
no other.
yeah.
That's a 10 for me, and it's very rare. Like even when we do best of 2024, I don't know that I ever get a whiskey at 10. Like
Yep.
I'm very
I've given
try
a few
to be
10s and 9s and
conservative.
9.5s.
Yeah, 10, 9, 9.5. But like I sometimes like one year I gave. You want to talk about that right now? I gave Obliteration, right? Rare Character Obliteration. I gave it like a 6 or a 5 and tanked the whole scoring because it was so astringent to me. Like it just.
I didn't score it high.
You didn't score it high, okay?
And that's like the
too
big one they
astringent.
do.
Yeah, that's like $5,000.
Yeah.
It was a
I've seen
$5,000
that
bottle.
before.
It's like a very small. Like it sucked every single ounce of liquid out of my mouth, and I was like, "Dang, I cannot." And then when I found out what it was, I think it's a 5.5. I gave it, and so yeah, we try to be like that.
Well, so the reason a minute ago I said just score it whatever. I said whether it's a 5, 6, 7, because that part doesn't matter for what we're doing now. You could have scored the one a 5 and just given the other one a 4.5.
Correct.
It doesn't matter what. So, but when we do our best of blinds each year, I usually, which I'm not saying how I do is probably different than how the other guys at the table do it, but my first pour that night, I just give it a straight up 6.
Okay.
Then,
no matter what it is.
No matter what it is, I give it a 6. And then I drink my second, because what we're doing for the best of blinds is we're comparing them to each other. So I give my first one a 6.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to do here.
Yeah.
That's what
so I usually give my first one a 6. I drink the next one, and if it's better or worse, if it's better, I give it a 7.
Yep.
If it's worse, I give it a 5. And then when I drink the third one, and then by that time, then I'll go back and start adjusting scores to the original.
I was going to say, do you go
figure
back?
that way?
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
right.
yes.
Yeah, definitely.
But so that way, I kind of give like a baseline of that.
That's a good way to look at it.
Because the first one, it might end up being a 6. You know what? But once I taste the next 3, if they're all less than that, then all of a sudden that 6 is really an 8. And then I go back and after I score the first 4 to 5, then I'm good for the rest of the night. Like I know, because typically like last year how we did it was we actually did 10 together, took like a 2-hour, 3-hour break, and then we did 10 more. Then the next week we did 10 and 10 again. But after the first 3 to 4, maybe 5, but 3 to 4, then I've got my baseline of what is what. And then we just kind of take it from there.
I think it's a very good way of doing it. I mean, it's what I was going to do here too. So, like, if I'm going to rate these, I think the Little Book Infinite for me, I gave it a 7.5. The other one, the Knob Creek pick, I gave it a 7. I think this third pour, I'm probably like 8.25, 8.
Yeah.
Like I think it's far and away better. I don't know how much. I'm not going 10, but you know what I mean. But it's definitely better.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. That's really good.
You're welcome. And then what I do that the other guys in our blinds don't do. They think I'm crazy for doing this, but honestly, I think I'm going to make them do it this year. Because I have suggested it the last couple of years, but not forced it. I think I'm going to force it.
Now it's mandatory. You got to sign a waiver when you get there.
Oh, my God.
So here's what happens. All right. We get together 2 or 3 different nights throughout the year, right?
You have to split that up.
Split it up. Well, the first night, you're drinking and your scores are what they are. You get together 1 week later and you're going to score all these new whiskeys again.
Yep.
But your palate might be on, off compared to the week before, what you're in the mood for. So what I do every single time is I pick one whiskey from the week before, whether I scored it a 5, a 6, a 7, an 8, doesn't matter what I scored it. I drink that whiskey, and in my mind know this is what was a 5.
That's a 5.
Or this is what was a 7. Whatever, it doesn't matter what the whiskey is or what the score was. And then I've got my baseline set for that night. So the second time we get together, I don't have to drink 3 to 4 to 5 to get my baseline, only the first night.
See, I was wondering how you did that, and that makes a lot more sense to me now, because I don't know how I'd do it
only
otherwise.
the very, very, very first night do I just start with a 6, and then I move it up and down. Then after 4 whiskeys, then I've got kind of a baseline.
Yeah.
But then for the next week and the following week or the championship round, I've got my baseline set because I just go back to that whatever that whiskey was, and that's boom, there it is.
And I have an iron palate, so I'm not even worried about doing it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna force them this year to do that.
You were Iron Man, but Iron Palate.
There you go. Iron Palate is not participating in Kenny's. No, that's really, honestly, before I started tasting with Kenny, the 1910 thing, I was like, okay, whatever.
You thought I was dumb, didn't you?
Well, I didn't
it
think
makes
you're
sense.
dumb.
I mean, I've heard you do it.
But yeah, now that I've done it and I have a bottle of 1910 at my house, like there are times where I taste the 1910 and I'm like, whoop, there's something wrong tonight. Like
too salty,
food I ate, something was still going on.
I think what you said before we started, Kenny, and you gave me a pour of it too, was if it's too sweet, you realize, hey, my palate's going to be
or if it's not sweet enough,
or
exactly.
too high proof. It should be drinking this way. It's not. So you adjust your thinking.
Yeah, because 1910 is 93 proof, and it's got some of that marshmallow toasty sweetness to it.
Very good pour.
So sometimes I'll drink it, and it does not taste sweet. I'm like, oh, crap, if 1910 is not sweet, that means whatever else I'm drinking I've got to really think that it's probably a little bit sweeter than what I'm actually tasting that night. Yep. Or if it tastes like it's 105, 110 proof instead of 93, then I'm like, all right, everything else I'm drinking, I got to remember it's going to drink down just a little bit, That's my baseline.
Sorry to get you off track. I was just curious about those.
No, this is great.
I like the second blind the best thing out of everything we had tonight.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And that's why, do you want to do that before we do Pass Try Buy?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
So the second one is a 16-year Knob Creek pick.
I knew it.
Monster Mash 2 from that place on Southland Drive.
That was Unlimited Spirits.
Unlimited Spirit.
Yeah,
that was Monster Mash 2.
We have to honor the Mongol family.
They had it.
They absolutely were a big part of that. They did Monster Mash 1 and 2.
So to me, Monster Mash 2 is better than the little book.
Yes.
And I think that the little book is a little bit better than this just run-of-the-mill total wine pick.
100% agree.
It's right in the middle, yeah. So with this science experiment that we have going on here, gentlemen, would you pass, try, or buy on the Little Book Infinite Edition #1 from the Jim Beam Distillery?
So, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. That's going to be hard for me.
So I think without the blinds, I might have had a different answer than this.
Okay.
But I think with the blinds, putting things into perspective, and then looking at cost, I am looking at cost. I'm a try.
Okay.
I don't think I'm a buy. I could see being a buy if it's a little bit cheaper than that.
Right.
But when you look at the secondary cost, like Kenny was saying with the Knob Creek picks, and knowing that they're even secondary is $80 to $100 less, it's hard to say I'm gonna buy this one. So I'm gonna try. Okay. I do think it's okay. I think it's good, but I'm gonna try.
All right, I'm going to jump ahead of Kenny here. If you had your thoughts together, I am actually going to say that what's interesting to me is I still think the Little Book is layered in a way that neither the picks are. But with that being said, I do think Monster Mash 2 is exceptional. I mean, you can't deny that. It's exceptional. And so it's weird for me to say this, but here's where I'm going with this. I think it was Little Book Chapter 4 or 3. I have to go back and look at the episodes. But I was a buy on that. And this is much better than those were. So how can I not be a buy on this? So I'm a buy. But I was a very strong inclination with the Knob Creek picks to say a try plus. But I'm still going to go buy on this.
Yeah, so I, on this, I tasted it the other day. I had opportunity to buy a bottle. Once I tasted it, I chose to not buy a bottle.
That's right. I'm a witness.
And my initial was going to be a pass, actually. So initially I was going to be a pass, but also just taking into account. So we talked about turkey heads, right? People love turkey. So
got one right here. He's raising his hand.
So it's like generations at $450, $500. Ugh, it's a lot of money, but it's
passed.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where it's, all three of them worked on it, blah, blah, blah. So, but then hearing Bruce talk about Booker and his granddad and Booker, and then talking about Freddie and all them, it's just like, to them, man, it's really, it has that family tie to it. So that's kind of cool. After trying it again tonight compared to the other day, I think I will move up to a try, though.
Okay.
I was going to be a pass. Two reasons. Main reason is because Knob Creek picks that are still available at 1 to 120. So I was going to be a pass at that, but I still got to go try. And the reason is because it is very layered. The front is different than the middle, which is different than the end.
For sure.
I think Monster Mash is better than that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But Monster Mash is at least $225, I would say, if you can grab one, find one somewhere.
And most of those are probably gone.
Gone. People drink them,
People drink
they
those,
do.
Yeah. That was a local group. They did an outstanding pick, and a lot of those got drank.
Yeah. So
I don't think I'd ever had it till now. That was very good, though.
It's good. Yeah. Little Book to me is $60 too high.
Agreed.
This particular one is probably another $60 to $70 too high.
Yeah, I think so 100, but yeah.
If this was, $100 maybe, but if this was the price of a regular Little Book, then I would probably be a buy on this. But I've got to be a try. Might even be a try minus, to be honest with you. That's my official is try minus because of the Knob Creek picks that are available.
Here's the thing that took me out of that realm. I was going to be a try. I know I went buy. But the reason I wasn't is because I don't think Monster Mash is common.
It's a one-off.
It's a one-off.
For sure.
Somebody really did get a cherry, great barrel. And so I just
That's
think
probably the best Knob Creek pick I've had. I've got to try. Right there.
Yeah.
And I did one there with my beer group in probably 2016, around that. And ours was like 14 years, 10 months. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's 15 years, and it's really good. It's not that.
Right.
You know?
Right. Ernie's had some great picks.
They did.
J Hobbs' first Knob Creek pick was great. I can remember so many. At some point in time, I may have had at least 12 Knob Creek picks. And you know what? I drank through all of them. I didn't save any of them. Like, I took my time with each one, and I really enjoyed them. And there were some great Knob Creek picks. So that's why I kind of try to balance it with what I've had versus what the realm of everything has been, because then I can kind of see what might be good about the.
But I think this little book Infinite's better than most, even of the older Knob Creek picks. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I would agree.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's better than
whether
all
it's a
the
half
new
point
ones.
like you scored, 1 point, 1.5 points.
Right.
I think it's definitely better. But is it 220 to 250 with tax as compared to 1 to 120 secondary?
that's
And
tough.
that's why that's why I couldn't go by.
Yeah,
There you go.
Boom.
And with that, thanks for listening to this episode. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY.
Don't forget to visit our partner, bourbonoutfitter.com. Enter code The Mashup for a special discount.
Also,
Head on over to our partner, the Woodwork Collective, at woodworkcollective.shop. Enter code MASHUP for a 15% discount.
let us know your thoughts on the bottom in the comment section. Until next time, keep it neat.